Good morning. Isn't it a beautiful day in Tuscaloosa?
It really is. What, 80 degrees today? Man. Jeez.
I tell you what, if you don't like the season, just wait a day.
Give it a day. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, you have
in Alabama, my man.
You have grabbed the headlines with this lottery plan that you have unveiled for the state of Alabama, getting a lot of attention. It caught our eye. Personally, for what it's worth, I think it is an outstanding idea, and I was happy to hear you propose it.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to real quick explain to everybody driving to work and taking their kids, especially to school this morning, if you're elected governor, what are you going to do? How will this lottery plan work?
Well, first of all, like many Alabamians, I'm tired of educating the children in Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia.
Yes.
How many children are we going to send to college? So
it's insane.
Change that dynamic. It is insane, and we conservatively estimate that we can generate $300 million a year, and it'll go to 4 places. And by the way, it'll never supplant current education funding. It'll go to a scholarship program to help defer the cost of 2-year college, workforce training, or 4-year college. And I know that I have a daughter in dual enrollment, and it's very expensive to send your child to college.
Yep.
So certainly, and I'm fortunate, I'm blessed. I can't imagine what parents who are not as fortunate as I am. The second thing is universal pre-K. It's been a passion for me for 12 years. So ensuring every one of our children in Alabama have an opportunity to universal pre-K. Most states have it. We're behind. It's time we catch up. The third thing that I want to do is establish what's called the Promise Program, because in many areas of our state, not necessarily Tuscaloosa, but many of our rural areas of the state, 1 meal in Mountain Brook doesn't equal 1 meal in Marengo County.
That's right.
And by state law, school systems are required to put in a 10-meal match. And so what that means is ultimately is there's inequity between a state education in Marengo County than Mountain Brook. And you can draw any other example. Begin leveling out that playing field. And the last thing that I'm really excited about is we want to change the dynamic in our struggling schools. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Amen.
Expecting different results. And so what we want to do is provide wraparound services in our underperforming schools, because we see too many of our children not only come in with academic deficiencies, but health deficiencies. A lot of times that's nutrition related, or it could just be health outcome related, mental health needs. All those things actually have departments of the state that need to be wrapped around in those schools to make certain that we give our teachers the best chance of success. We can't expect a teacher to teach 7 hours a day and be the school counselor, be the social worker, be the nurse. It's impossible. And if we don't realize that dynamic and begin to address it, we're never going to be able to come out of 48th, 49th, and 50th and everything that matters in our state.
And that's where we've been ranking, right down near the bottom. Thank God for Mississippi. And I hate to have to say that, but what, yeah. 45th, 47th, whatever, lower, any lower is unimaginable, but we got to be careful. That could happen. Education lottery being proposed by Walt Maddox if he's elected governor. This will not increase taxes by a single dime. Is that correct?
That's correct. I mean, here I am. I'm the Democrat, right? I'm telling you, we can do $300 million without raising one dime of taxes. And imagine what it's going to mean for our school system. If you're driving to work this morning, you're taking your children to high school or middle school, and you're thinking about the cost of college, imagine what a scholarship program can do for you, the thousands of dollars you're going to be able to save a year and invest into other things like local businesses and other things that you will then have revenue to do. Think about the tax breaks that people in Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee have, because they don't have to afford the cost of college like Alabamians do. And this is just not Alabama, Auburn, or UAB. We're talking about workforce development with Shelton State, our 2-year college programs across the board. So,
Mayor Maddox, now assuming you win and you become Governor Maddox, how long would it take for you to get this on the table? And ultimately, wouldn't voters have to vote on whether we do a lottery or not?
You're right, Steve. It would be a constitutional amendment. So what we would do is call a special session immediately upon swearing in.
Immediately, okay.
And immediately upon calling in, deal with it, and then have the referendum in 2020. The reason why is this, is that the lottery failed back in 99 because Governor Siegelman called a special session.
Yeah.
Called a special election. And that special election, normally you do not have high voter turnout. Since the 70s, the lottery has polled favorably in Alabama. It's just at elections, it's not about what the majority of people think, it's about what the majority of voters think. And so you need to have the lottery at a time where you're going to have the majority of the voters and the majority of the people come to the polls and cast their ballot. And I think it would pass overwhelmingly.
As far as I know, you're the only candidate that has come out and suggested this type of education lottery plan for the state. Is there another? Do you know of another?
Well, I think Judge Cobb, one of another opponent in the primary, has suggested. But I will say that the main difference between ours is more than just having a lottery. It's looking at the four cornerstones of public education in our state and making it relevant.
Mayor Maddox, we talk about, this lottery and changes that it'll make for students and big changes for parents as well. But I got to ask you one question. This is for my mother, who's an exceptional education teacher. It seems like every year they lose more from their retirement. What do you plan to do to help the teachers here in Alabama if you get elected?
Well, I think one thing that the lottery is going to do is take a lot of pressure off the Education Trust Fund, because many of the things that we need to be doing, quite frankly, we're not, because there's not enough revenue. And so what the Education Trust Fund has become is a mile wide and inch deep. This $300 million is going to be able to relieve a lot of that pressure, so we can make certain that we keep our commitment on retirement. And by the way, that we're able to recruit and retain the best teachers. I understand the notion that teachers should teach just because they love to do it, but it's also insane to think you don't have to pay them to do it. We need quality teachers. And here's a stat. I know I'm going a little bit long on this. The colleges of education have seen a 40% reduction in applications since 2010. People are not going into the teaching profession, and we better be prepared to go out and recruit and retain the best teachers if we want to have the best results in the classroom.
Mayor, exciting to hear you propose this education lottery, and we wish you well with your effort as you continue your campaign to be elected governor. I'd like to keep you longer this morning, but I can't. What is it? It's 7:23. It's time for my morning run. I'm training for the Mayor's Cup 5K.
A good deal, man.
And I got to get my 5 miles in because that's coming up in March, so I'm going to be ready.
Well, but when I did mine this morning, you were already on the air. So you know what?
What? You've already done yours this morning?
Oh, I went ahead and got mine in early. So you got to work earlier than I do. I know you're going to get yours later.
What a show off! And I've already said I'm voting for him. What a show off! He's already.
Yeah. What else more do you need?
You know what? You got to take every. You're giving me a little airtime here, man. I got to run with it.
Nice.
Well, thank you as always for being generous with your time, and I'll see you out on the trail, the running trail, not the campaign trail.
That's right. Tuscaloosa Mayor's Cup, March 24th. Thank you, Steve.
You bet. Walt Maddox, everybody, the world's greatest mayor, running for governor of Alabama.